Right, you just gave a very interesting talk here at the ESSA Summer School. I'd just like to ask you a few short questions. So first, if you could introduce yourself and tell me what institution you come from and what role you play in that institution.
Okay. Well, it was very good to give the talk here as well. My name is Abhijit Sengupta, and I work at Unilever Research and Development. My role out there is that of a research scientist, and basically I'm part of a team called Mathematics and Informatics, and we look at things like consumer behavior, market dynamics from a mathematical point of view, using sometimes agent-based models and sometimes traditional models as well.
And could you give us a brief summary of the talk that you just gave?
Okay, so this talk was based on two papers that we recently, one of them was recently published, actually published last year, and one paper which was which we have submitted in partnership with mathematics department in UCL. What we did in the paper was, it's slightly different from theoretical papers. We tried to use a simulation-based method to fit a behavioral model with transactions data that we have, and we found that we could predict volatile market shares, market share dynamics, etc. Very well, and not just on a market level, on the macro level, but also on a micro level. Basically, choice of products by households, choice of brands, choice of different product characteristics by households over time, and that's what the paper was basically.
Okay. And agent-based social simulation is still quite a minority activity. In your own case, how did you get into using agent-based social simulation?
That's interesting because I originally come from a very theoretical economics background, and my area of specialization at that time was applied game theory and industrial organization. But only when I saw this job advert 5 or 6 years ago from Unilever asking for somebody who wants to work in agent-based modeling, I realized that it's been one of my sort of interests, and to look into complex systems, to look into different ways of analyzing complex systems, and I thought it would be a great chance for me to explore this area, and that's how I came into it.
Okay, could you talk about briefly one interesting problem or idea that you're currently thinking about?
Yes, we are looking at quite a few different things, but one of the things which is really exciting and interesting is to bring together psychological models, models of social psychology into ABM, and use these interdisciplinary models to look at choice, behavior, look at how how people's behavior changes with changing paradigms, say environmental friendly behavior, sustainability type behaviors, etc. And I find that really exciting.
Okay, and if there was one, could you mention one, which is a difficult thing to do, I guess, but one formative book, paper, lecture that's influenced your thinking in this area?
It could be anything.
Anything.
Anything, okay. Then I have to go back quite a long way ago, when I first read the trilogy by Isaac Asimov, the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov, and it was absolutely fascinating to look at complexity and emergence, not just on a global scale, but on a galactic scale.
Okay.
And the fascinating area of psychohistory, which...
So you're now doing psychohistory?
Well, hopefully. Maybe not at that scale, but yes, I was very young at that time, but it stuck to my mind.
Okay. Well, leading on from that a bit, could you mention perhaps what you consider to be one policy application area going forward in the future for agent-based social simulation?
Yeah, I think the area of regulation is very ripe for agent-based social simulation, because industrial regulation, especially now in this banking sector, with the banking sector crisis, people looking at different kinds of ways of handling risk, about handling flows of capital, etc. It could be one area where agent-based simulations can do a lot.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. So, well, thank you very much, and thank you for a very interesting talk.
Thank you very much.